Good afternoon, Evil, and I will tell you one story of a good viewing. I first noticed him on a gray Tuesday morning when the drizzle clung to every window pane like sweat. I was brewing coffee in my cramped kitchen when I saw him through the thin sliver of a crack between the curtains. He stood across the lawn, half hidden behind the rhododendron bush, his shape tall and gaunt, shoulders hunched as if the weight of some terrible secret bowed him forward. He wore a threadbare overcoat that flapped limply in the wind. I blinked, and then he was gone. My heart pounded so violently I swore the mug beneath my trembling hand would shatter. I chalked it up to sleep deprivation and the humdrum of city living, though a cold knot of dread tightened in my stomach. That night, I heard the soft scraping of metal outside my bedroom window. The street lamps cast long, sickly yellow pools of light on the cracked pavement. I crept to the sill, peering through the blinds. There he was again, the neighbor. His face was as pale as bone, eyes black hollows that reflected the light like twin voids. He tapped on the glass with long, knobby fingers, a sound like fingernails across slate. This time I saw his lips curl into a grin, an impossible, grotesque distortion, and I yanked the curtain closed so hard the rod rattled. My pulse drummed in my ears and sleep fled before midnight. Over the following days, the sightings multiplied. I saw him standing at the edge of the park as though admiring a grave I could not see. I caught reflections, a dark silhouette moving behind me in shop windows, a blurred figure slipping down alleys. Once at the bus stop, I glanced back and he stood just a foot away, expressionless, staring at me while his body swayed slightly, almost rhythmically. I stumbled onto my friend Leo in a cafe and explained, breathless. He laughed at first, then frowned when I showed him the empty sidewalk outside. "Are you sure you're okay?" he asked, eyebrows drawn together. Then the mailbox. One morning I walked outside and froze. There, pinned to the front of my mailbox with a tarnished clip, was a single photograph, the interior of my apartment, taken from an angle only visible through my bedroom window. The image was grainy, edges burnt. On the bed lay my winter coat, neatly folded, the bedside lamp glowed amber as if stained by old blood. The date scrawled in shaky ink on the back read April 15th. My breath caught. I hadn't been home that day. I backed away, the paper slipping from my numb fingers onto the dew-speckled grass. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I see you." No punctuation, no signature. I showed Leo over lunch. He frowned, scrolling back through my call log. "Relax, man. It's probably a prank," he said, but when we returned to my apartment building that afternoon, the front door was ajar. The entryway light flickered. A rancid odor like rotting flesh assaulted us as we stepped inside. My heart hammered. Leo balled his hands into fists. We called out, "Hello?" In the living room, my coffee table lay overturned, books were scattered like dead leaves. My laptop screen was cracked, spiderwebbing across the glass, though I hadn't left it on. And writ large across the far wall in thick, dripping black paint were the words, "I'm watching." The letters were uneven, some strokes so thick they pooled on the floor. Bile rose in my throat. Leo and I bolted, slamming the door behind us. In the stairwell, I whispered, "We have to call the police," but my voice wavered. That night, I barricaded my apartment door with chairs and a dresser. I lay on the floor clutching my phone, the trembling glow my only comfort. Around midnight, the scratching returned, this time from inside the apartment. The dresser creaked, groaned under invisible force as if something tried to push through. My pulse thundered. I whispered into the darkness, "Who's there?" The scratching stopped. An oppressive silence followed, then a single, raspy whisper, "Open up." It was his voice, soft, raspy, utterly inhuman, like leaves scraping across cement. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I crept to the door, pried the dresser aside, and fled to Leo's. For 2 days, I stayed in his spare room. But every morning a new photograph appeared outside his door, my writing desk, the inside of my closet, the contents of my medicine cabinet, always from angles only I could capture. And every evening, my nightmares grew darker. I dreamt he stood at the foot of my bed, skin slick with some foul moisture, whispering my secrets back to me. I called the police, but without him on camera, without witnesses, they could do nothing. "Probably someone feeding your anxiety," the detective said, offering a tired smile before slipping back into his cruiser. I slumped on a wooden bench outside the station, defeated. As I sat, my phone screen blinked dead. The power went out. My apartment plunged into darkness long before I reached the bus stop. When I opened the door to Leo's, the cigarette had barely smoldered in his ashtray. He greeted me with concern. I told him everything. He placed a tentative hand on my shoulder. "We'll figure this out," he promised, though his eyes betrayed him. He was terrified, too. That night, despite Leo's protests, I returned home alone. I needed to see if it was real. The corridor lights buzzed, the apartment door stood slightly ajar. I clicked on my phone's flashlight and stepped inside. My ears strained. Nothing until a slow, deliberate thump came from the ceiling above. Then another. Footsteps pacing back and forth directly above my head. But I lived on the ground floor. Who or what was walking above me? Heart in my throat, I fumbled for a ladder stored in the closet. My hand closed on something cold and wet. I recoiled. Turning the beam upward, I saw smeared handprints crawling toward the hatch. I set the ladder, climbed shakily, and pried the hatch open. In that beam of pale light, I saw him, a single, horrid hand, bones protruding, skin sloughing off. He forced himself down, each movement wet and labored, the smell of decay so strong it made me gag. He slid through with the grace of a lizard, landing on all fours. His head turned, grotesque and elongated, lips peeled back to reveal jagged, yellowed teeth. He inhaled, a low, inhuman sigh. At last, he murmured, voice like dry leaves skittering across a tomb. "We meet at last." I screamed. The flashlight beam clattered to the floor, rolling away. In that oppressive darkness, I felt him rise, looming above me. I scrambled for the ladder, hands slick with fear, but then the lights blazed on. He was gone. Only the empty attic hatch remained, dust motes drifting in the harsh overhead glow. I never saw him again, at least not directly. But sometimes when the wind rattles the windows at exactly 3:14 a.m., I hear a faint whisper through the vents. I'm still here, and I know that somewhere above a ceiling I can't access he waits. I returned to my apartment the following afternoon, my limbs heavy with exhaustion and my mind taut as a wire. Leo had begged me to stay with him just one more night, he'd pleaded, but I needed to confront what I'd seen. Besides, the photographs had stopped for 24 hours and a fragile hope blossomed that maybe he'd finally left me alone. The hallway was still and silent when I arrived. The door to my unit was closed, the faint hum of electricity buzzed behind it. I slid my key into the lock and paused, hand trembling. Listen. Nothing. I exhaled and pushed the door open, flicking the light switch. My apartment snapped into focus, familiar, innocuous, unchanged. No paint-smeared wall, no overturned furniture, just the same faded rug, the chipped coffee table, the couch cushions slumping like tired shoulders. I stepped inside, heart pounding. The air smelled of stale air freshener and old wood. My phone lay on the counter, its screen flickered weakly, showing 10 missed calls and 14 unread voicemails, all from Leo, frantic, clipped messages begging me to call back. I pressed play. Listen, something's wrong. I thought it was over, but I woke up scratching at my arms like I tried to claw something on the ceiling. There are footprints up there. I can't stay here. Call me. His voice broke in the next voicemail. Please. I don't know what's happening. It's back. Static cut him off. My blood ran cold. If Leo, my rock, was under attack, this thing was beyond my worst nightmares. I dialed his number. Straight to voicemail. Again. My stomach clenched. I grabbed my coat and bolted down the hallway, pounding on neighbors' doors until Mrs. Phillips answered. Have you seen Leo? I gasped. She looked at me blankly. Who? I swallowed hard. Never mind. Is he home? She shook her head. He said he was moving out. Something about finding a bigger place. She avoided my eyes. You two broke up? I backed away, confusion spiraling into dread. My phone buzzed, a single text from the unknown number. He's here. My pulse thundered. I silenced my phone and dashed for the elevator. 2 floors up, Leo's door stood ajar. I pressed my ear to the crack. Beneath the faint hum of the building's generator, I heard a soft, rhythmic dripping. Blood? Water? My breathing shuddered. I pushed the door open. His apartment was empty. The small kitchen table had been stripped clean, the fridge door hung open, its light flickering. The bathroom light stuttered beyond. I edged toward it and peered inside, the white tile floor gleamed red in splashes and smears. A single handprint, dried crimson, framed the drain. Leo? I whispered, voice breaking. Silence. Then a creak behind me. I spun, nothing. The door slammed shut on its own, plunging me into darkness. My phone flashlight revealed the bathtub, its porcelain interior stained with streaks of red, water pooling at the edges. On the wall, scrawled in what looked like blood, 4 words. You can't hide. My breath caught. I stumbled back, fumbling for the knob. It wouldn't budge. I pounded on the door, yelling for help. Heart hammering, sweat prickling my skin. Finally, the latch gave way and I tumbled into the hallway. I fled down 3 flights of stairs, adrenaline driving my legs into a blur. Outside, I risked a glance up at Leo's balcony. There, standing motionless at the railing, was the neighbor. He tilted his head and beckoned with a skeletal finger. I couldn't look away, his eyes, endless black holes that drew me in like magnets. Then he vanished in a blink. I ran to the street, heart racing, until I reached a crowded cafe. I burst inside, breathless, and slammed my palm on a table. "Somebody call the police," I gasped. "My friend, he's missing." The barista's eyes widened. She grabbed her phone. Within minutes, sirens wailed outside. Officers swarmed the building. I led them up to Leo's apartment, hands shaking so violently I could hardly point out the door. The detective, a tall woman with sharp eyes, took notes and nodded gravely. "Have you seen anyone suspicious?" she asked. I swallowed. I saw a man. Gray overcoat. Pale, gaunt face. "He's watching me." She frowned. "No one else has reported him. We'll canvass the building." They dusted for prints, no usable prints. Ran basement cameras, nothing. Even the ledger at the front desk showed no unusual entries. Disappearing footprints, vanishing intruders. At dawn, I stood on the empty sidewalk, the detective's warning echoing in my head. Without evidence, there's nothing to hold. Days passed. Leo never returned my calls. The police had nothing. I moved back into my apartment, half my furniture in storage, most drawers locked. I installed a cheap security camera above the front door. The first night, it filmed nothing but static. The second, a figure leaning into the frame, face just beyond focus, too pale, too still. I froze the video on my phone. The image lingered like a nightmare. I slept with daybreak, afraid of his approach. Every night, at exactly 3:14 a.m., I awoke to a soft scratching at my bedroom door, followed by a whisper. "Come out." I'd lie frozen until the pale light of morning crept under the blinds. One evening, on a dare, I called out into the darkness, "What do you want?" Silence, then a metallic rasp. "To share your home." I slammed the receiver down. My phone fell silent. I tried therapy, medication, nothing quelled the terror. Then, one afternoon, I found an envelope slipped under my door. Inside, a ticket stub to a children's puppet show dated yesterday. On the stub, someone had scrawled in red ink, "Bring a friend." My pulse thundered. I won't go. I can't. But every mirror, every reflective surface in my apartment shows him standing behind me, waiting for me to turn around. I've slept with my back to the wall, my eyes fixed on the glass, praying I'll wake up and he'll be gone. Tomorrow night, I'll leave this apartment. I'll move in with someone, anyone far away. I'll box my camera, pack my clothes, change my number. But I know wherever I go, he'll follow. Because he's more than a stalker, more than a phantom. He's the shadow behind every door, the whisper under every breath. He waits, unmoving, patient. And when I finally think I'm safe, he'll be there. Watching. Always. Thank you very much. See you all in the next video.